This is the Xiaomi Pad 8 Pro, the matte glass version. Not only is this one of the most powerful Android tablets you could get right now, they, am I reading this right? They actually improved the pen? This is Brad. He likes to review the tech. He also likes to draw. And this here is his theme song. Now, Xiaomi sent this over to me to review. Thoughts are my own, and boy did they have some accessories to send with it. A case, 2 different keyboards, and the Xiaomi Stylus. Let's take a look at what comes in the box. The tablet sure looks nice. Check out the camera bump along the back. This thing is huge. They're throwing a 50 megapixel camera in a tablet. I'm not someone who takes photos and videos on my tablet, and if I do, it's usually just a snapshot of a sketch or something like that. But if you are someone who takes photos and videos on your tablet, you will appreciate this. It also means you're probably going to want a case if you're drawing in this, because it gets a little bit tippy. It doesn't really lay flat on a desk. Now, this is the matte screen edition, like I mentioned before, so I'm glad that they sent me this one. I love matte screens on tablets. You can also get a glossy version. The matte screen gives your pen a little bit more resistance and control when you're drawing with the stylus. It also looks really nice, cuts down on those reflections, and in general, it doesn't really dull the display that much. The colors still come through, the brightness still comes through. And when the screen's on, I didn't really notice the matte coating much at all. The only other thing that comes in this box with the tablet is a charging cable and some warranty and quick start guide type stuff. So you'd need to bring your own power brick. And since this does support fast charging, you're probably going to want something with a good amount of wattage to it if you want to take full advantage of that speedy charging. Now, the first keyboard I opened was their newest version. It looks just like Apple's Magic Keyboard cover, at least the old version of the Magic Keyboard cover. They're calling it their Pro Focused keyboard. Now, one area where a lot of these Android tablets fail is in their accessories. Especially in keyboards and trackpads, they feel cheap and flimsy and they just don't work well. And this keyboard feels amazing. It's just as good as that old Apple Magic Keyboard cover. I suppose if you're gonna copy something good and make it just as well. It's got a sturdy hinge and a really good typing experience. Now, the second accessory that I have here, I refer to as the not-so-Magic Keyboard cover. Xiaomi calls it their Pro Keyboard. It's a lower-spec version of the keyboard with no trackpad. It feels pretty good, too. Obviously, it's not as good as the other one, but it's also lighter weight. Typing still feels good on it, and in general, if you don't need a trackpad, it gets the job done. And then there's this case. It's okay. You can set it up at different angles. It's a little bit more confusing to use than many of the trifold cases I'm used to because it's got this 45-degree crease in it, but it gets the job done. And it's this little magnetic loop cover for the pencil. So when you snap your pencil to the top of the tablet to store it, this will cover it up, keep it from popping off. The pencil. I already mentioned the pencil, at least briefly. I have a lot to say about the pencil, and I'll save that. Since I mentioned the pencil, should I shout out my Learn to Draw in 60 Days course too? Yes. Yes, I should. Every day, a new lesson, new homework. If you've ever taken a drawing tutorial and thought, what am I missing here? Why is this so hard? This course is designed to fill in those blanks and prepare you for those other things. Learn more over at bradsartschool.com. Now, the star of the show in this tablet is the processor. This thing is rocking a Snapdragon 8 Elite chip. This is one of the best processors that you can get in an Android tablet right now. I really like the smoothness, the crispness of the HyperOS Android skin that Xiaomi has designed for their tablets. The animations are super smooth. A lot of tablets, even just vanilla Android, doesn't really take advantage of these higher refresh rate screens that these tablets come with nowadays. This OS does. But it just feels really good to just navigate around the tablet, open apps, shrink them back down, pan around. Now, because of all that processing power, art apps are going to run really, really well on this tablet. No problem. In fact, art apps are going to run just as well on a much lower spec tablet. But if you need more processing power, maybe you do some video editing on your tablet, maybe you like to run a lot of games on your tablet, this is great for that. The other thing it's going to do is by getting a really high-end processor is you know that it is going to work and perform well with apps for years and years to come. Now, Xiaomi generally provides about 4 years of Android updates on their devices and 6 years of security updates. That's not horrible, but it does lag way behind what you might find on Samsung, which offers 7 years of updates. So the money that you're saving up front with a tablet like this, you might lose in service on the back end in the future. This is an 11-inch LCD display. It's gonna bum some people out who are looking for a high-end Android tablet, but also want it to be OLED. Even though it's not OLED, I still think this looks really, really good. The screen has that matte coating on it I mentioned a minute before, and also the reason it's named this. And that matte coating is great for reducing glare, but also gives you that texture to draw on. Great for note taking, and of course, great for drawing. And the pen, still not ready to talk about the pen, feels really good on this matte texture. This is a very nice LCD. It has 144 Hz refresh rate, has a resolution of 2136 pixels by 3200 pixels. That is an incredibly pixel dense display for an 11-inch tablet. Probably overkill, but helps it look good. This is also a 3:2 aspect ratio. Not as square as an iPad, but not as rectangular as many of the 16:10 aspect ratio Android tablets out there. It's a nice compromise. This model has 12 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of onboard storage. And what's becoming more and more common in Android tablets lately is that they're ditching the micro SD card slots that many of them used to come with by default. That's going on here as well. That's a little disappointing because you can't add more storage on your own if you need it down the road. Okay, I'm done teasing the pen. Let's talk about it. This pen is an add-on accessory. It's also a battery-powered pen. It charges by attaching to the top of the tablet or the bottom of the tablet, depending on how you have it oriented at any given time. It's also worth mentioning this pen does not come in the box. It's an added accessory that you have to pay for. They are calling this their Focus Pencil Pro. And I've tested these before, and to be honest with you, I was not impressed. Xiaomi's pens have always had the same problem as many of the USI styluses have. They have a lot of line wobble. This is most noticeable when you're drawing slow angled lines, but even when you're going around a curve, when you're drawing, it can get a little bumpy and yucky, and that messes up your lines just as much as those angles do. Now that line wobble is still here, but it is dramatically better than it was on older iterations of Xiaomi's tablets. I had a similar experience with one of OnePlus's tablets a few weeks ago, so I don't know why all these Android manufacturers are focusing on their pens all of a sudden, but I am glad that they are. So I'll repeat here what I said in that OnePlus video. This does not make this pen a 10 out of 10 amazing rush out and get it kind of pen, but it does push it well into the acceptable range. Now this pen is like a 7 out of 10 instead of a 4 out of 10. In some drawing apps, this is going to be more pronounced than it is in other drawing apps. I feel like many Android drawing apps in recent years have added their own layer of stabilization on the app level to help counteract this proliferation of bad styluses out there. High paint is a great example. It's harder and harder to find wobble in high paint in general, even though stabilization is technically off. I think they're adding some stabilization by default to all of their brushes. If you want to see how bad the pen can be, Krita is the place you should look. It's definitely the worst implementation of this. I think they've just pulled it over raw from the desktop and they haven't tweaked it too much. Technically, Krita's open source, still in beta. They're still working on it. Maybe it's something that will improve in the future. But when I draw slow angled lines in Krita, or if I draw my loopy loop lines in Krita, you can definitely see that this pen still has a lot of wave and some bumps to it. But apps like Infinite Painter, High Paint, Clip Studio Paint, the app I use the most here in the background of this video, totally usable. In fact, I flat out enjoyed drawing on this. I have to tell you, last year I reviewed a lot of Android tablets and I dreaded all of them rolling in with these horrible pens. And I was kind of dreading this too, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to put on a brave face and do it anyway. And I enjoyed using this. I had fun drawing on it. That has never happened with the Xiaomi tablet before. I could still detect some of that wobble in Clip Studio. It is still there. It's not perfect, but it's so much cleaner. And when you add that in with the matte screen, it's just a really nice experience. Immediately drawing on this just felt really good. That matte screen slows down the pen, makes you feel like you have so much more control than a smooth glass screen. It's so nice. Now they do sell a version of this tablet without the matte screen. So if you don't need it, you don't want it, you can get it. However, if you're here for the art stuff like I am, I think that is a must-have on this tablet. It improves it that much. Now, what about the other accessories? I mentioned some of the keyboards before. The Focus keyboard works. sometimes. Android doesn't always play well with accessories, and this has been a problem across devices, not just Xiaomi. The build of this keyboard is great, like I said before, and typing on it, it feels really good. But I was working on the script for this very video, and I would close the tablet, open the tablet up, come back to my Google Doc, and the keyboard just wouldn't work. I would have to quit the Google Doc and come back, reopen that document to keep typing to make it work again. There were other weird quirks with the keyboard as well. For example, I might have two apps open at once. I have Chrome on one side, my document on the other, and when I bounce from one window to the next, it doesn't detect the keyboard. It pops up the software keyboard, so I have to manually tap it in. These are all the things that Apple figured out years ago that Android just hasn't improved on. The other accessory that this came with was the standard case, and I didn't really use it at all. I mean, I used it at first. It keeps your pad covered and safe, and it's going to keep your pen nice and covered and safe too. I guess that's a good thing. If that's what you're looking for, it does that really well. It's well built. I just didn't like the standing angles that it gave you. The lean back angle felt like it leaned back too far. I wanted it a little bit more upright on my desk when I was using it. And that lay down drawing angle was pretty much a 45-degree angle, which is just not a comfortable enough angle to draw at. I wanted it to go down further. But overall, maybe for the first time ever, I came away impressed with a Xiaomi tablet. I've liked their hardware before, but the pens have always held them back. And I really hope that whatever changes they've made to this tablet are changes that they can carry on and affordably roll out to some of their more budget devices too. I know a lot of you outside of the US who watch these videos really love these tablets because of all the value that they add for the price that they offer them at. Here in the US, they're a lot harder to find. They tend to be a little bit more expensive. And you all want to draw on them because they're so affordable. And if they can roll this out to some of their lower end lines, that's just great news for all of you. So it's not the best Android tablet in the world. It's not the worst Android tablet to draw on, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in a couple of days.